All right, what is Smarketing and why is it critical? Turns out that sales and marketing are two very much traditionally opposing teams. In fact, 87% of the terms that sales and marketing use to describe each other are negative, according to this corporate executive board survey. Marketing uses all sorts of terms for sales like simple-minded or incompetent or lazy. And then sales calls marketing all about arts and crafts or academics or simply calls them irrelevant. But we want to change that. We want to change that with Smarketing. We want to bring these two opposing teams into one to bring sales and marketing into Smarketing. Because they really are two halves of the same team revenue. These are the two teams that are responsible for the growth or revenue side of the business. Marketing attracts interested prospects and nurtures them, and then sales takes it into a one-to-one communication, determines these prospects' needs, and sells them at the right time. Sales and marketing are two halves of the same team revenue. Realizing this will let you create a productive relationship between these two traditionally opposing teams to better set you up to hit your revenue goals. And it turns out that companies with strong sales and marketing alignment get 20% annual revenue growth. Compare that to companies with poor alignment, they actually saw revenues decline by 4%. So let's talk about Smarketing and how Smarketing is all about alignment. The first thing you want to do is get on the same team. Smarketing is all about aligning sales and marketing around the same goals and personas. So first off, alignment around goals. These are the two teams that are responsible and want the company to grow. An alignment around goals can consist of a couple of different things. First off, having the same or related goals. For example, having a marketing pipeline goal very much tied to the sales quota. And we'll actually go through an example of that. This also means visibility into each other's goals and progress, so that each team is very clear about how everyone's doing. And you can even go so far as to have compensation based on each other's goals. And that's an example I actually want to share today, where alignment around goals really helped this team achieve those revenue goals. So on the left, you can see Jessica Mayer. She's our Enterprise Marketing Manager. And in the middle, you can see Phil Harrell, our VP of Sales for Enterprise Sales. And what we did was these two leaders met together and they had compensation based around the same thing, the revenue target for the enterprise team. This helped them solve for the right thing, that ultimate revenue. It made them hyper aware of their progress towards their goals, and it also allowed them to celebrate together when they hit those goals, really reinforcing that concept that these two are on the same team. Now think about how your marketing and sales teams are organized and rewarded. Are your marketers and your salespeople rewarded on the same goal? If not, maybe you want to change some of those goals. Maybe you want to change some of their comp structure so that you can align all of your teams around that ultimate revenue. The other piece of alignment is around personas. Now to recap, personas are semi-fictional representations of your ideal customer based on real data and qualitative interviews. Through these interviews and through the data, you can pull out behavioral patterns, demographics, motivations, and goals. And by creating these personas, you can communicate across the team who you're trying to solve for to better drive each department's priorities. Now, alignment around personas can manifest in a couple of ways. First off, communicating persona details across the company to all those different departments, again, to inform what everybody does. You can also educate each other about new persona details. A lot of the different departments, including sales and marketing, are communicating with your target customer on a regular basis. So new details come about new motivations, new goals, new challenges, and you want to keep everyone up to date. And finally, you can specialize teams around particular personas so that you can have people specializing in verticals, in different roles to better understand who you're trying to reach. An example of how we've aligned around our personas is our nonprofit team. On the left, you can see Taylor Serrato, our nonprofit marketing manager, and Matt Fredette is in the middle, our nonprofit sales manager. They come together to lead our nonprofit team. They even have a weekly persona meeting, which is almost like a mini company meeting. And in it, they talk about customer successes, persona learnings, current challenges, and overall, they try to solve for this mini nonprofit business within our company. Now I want you to think about, do you have multiple personas? Do they have different types of challenges? Do you need to get a better understanding of who they are and how to solve for them? Because maybe that's an opportunity to create teams that align around each of your personas within your company. Smarketing can happen at any scale. As a small business, it can center around the sales and marketing VPs. But as the company grows, whether by number of employees or number of personas, you can pick leaders in the sales and marketing divisions to scale that alignment across a large enterprise. Now that we understand why Smarketing alignment is so important and how it includes both alignment around goals and personas, let's dive into how to actually do this, how to integrate Smarketing into your organization. These are the 5 steps to integrate Smarketing into your organization. We're going to dive into each of these in depth, but as an overview, the 5 steps are: 1. Speak the same language. 2. Set up closed-loop reporting. 3. Implement a service-level agreement. 4. Maintain open communication. And 5. Rely on data. First off, speak the same language. Again and again, it comes down to revenue. Sales and marketing are the 2 teams that partner together to bring new revenue into the business. So my question is, how many marketers have signed up for a number? We all have a lot of different things that are on our plates, a lot of different marketing efforts, but what we need is a goal that has a number tied to it. Say it's on a monthly or a quarterly basis, similar to how the sales team has a number that they need to hit on a monthly or quarterly basis. And what's strange is a lot of marketers haven't signed up for a number. And the reason this is so critical is that sales is incredibly numbers driven. And part of getting on the same team with them is sharing a number with them, having a number that you can say, hey, I need to hit that too in order to succeed. One of the best ways to align your sales and marketing teams is to have a marketing goal based on the sales goal. Start with the revenue target and work your way backwards using a typical marketing lead to customer conversion rate. Having a transparent marketing goal so closely tied to the sales goal will help you make sure that marketing's efforts support sales and the sales team knows it. So here's an example of how you can work backwards from sales to set your marketing goal. Again, you want to start with that shared goal, revenue. Say your revenue goal is $10,000 for the month. Now you want to figure out your average deal size. You can take your current revenue divided by your current customer volume to figure out what that is. Say that's $1,000. Now we can divide our revenue goal by our average deal size to figure out how many customers we need. In this example, we need 10 new customers. Now we can divide our current customers by our current leads to get our average lead to customer rate. Say that's 2%. And divide the number of customers we need by that conversion rate to figure out how many leads we need. Again, in this example, it's 500 leads. There we go. We have our marketing goal based on our sales goal. The next thing you want to define is the buyer's journey as well as the life cycle stages in the funnel. On the left, you can see the stages of the buyer's journey from awareness to consideration to decision. And this is really thinking about the buyer's perspective. You want to get into the mind of your buyer, including what do they need to know at each of these stages? What content do they need? What marketing resources? What sales content? But you also want to map that to how you think about it as a company, the stages from lead to MQL to SQL all the way to customer. But a buyer never thinks about themselves as an MQL. And MQL is a tool to have a conversation internally about what does it mean for someone to be at that consideration stage or that decision-making stage. And what resources do we need in order to make our sales and marketing teams effective at communicating with our buyers? A lot of companies have not defined these stages of the sales and marketing funnel. In fact, only 45% of businesses have established a company-wide definition of a sales-ready lead. And the reason that this is a problem is that it creates that disconnect between the sales and marketing teams. Sales ends up saying, these marketing leads are terrible quality. And the marketing team is so frustrated that sales doesn't work our leads. All of our effort is going to waste. So here's a helpful way to think about what is a sales-ready lead. Remember, what we're trying to do here is have the sales and marketing teams work together to figure out when should a lead pass from the marketing team over to the sales team to take it to that next step. In order to define a sales-ready lead, you want to think about the level of fit as well as the level of interest of that lead. Now, if they're not a great fit for your product and they don't have a lot of interest in it, great. You want to avoid that lead. They are not a sales-ready lead. Now, if they're a great fit for your product but don't yet have a lot of interest in it, that's an opportunity for you to stimulate interest, whether it's on the marketing side to send them more content and nurture them so that they become more interested, or maybe the sales team can help in drawing out more of their challenges, more of their goals, so that marketing can be more effective in following up with them. Now, if they're not a great fit but they do have a lot of interest, that's a great way to take orders, to grab those folks as new customers, but not spend a lot of time nurturing them. And then finally, if they're a great fit for your product and they're highly interested, you want to follow up quickly. And that is your sweet spot of a sales-ready lead. So you can think about a sales-ready lead as a great fit lead with a high level of interest. That is the perfect type of lead to pass from marketing over to sales. So here are a couple of specific examples of sales-ready leads. Perhaps it's a contact who downloaded an ebook on a lead generation topic. Someone from a company that has 200 to 1,000 employees and is in North America. You can see we have a couple of elements of fit there, the demographics, as well as some interest. They downloaded an ebook on a high-quality topic. Perhaps a sales-ready lead is a contact at a company in the US who's filled out a form to request a sales demo or started a trial. Again, we have a little bit of the fit there, as well as the interest. Or finally, a contact at a company whose role makes him a decision maker, a VP or director. Perhaps your company is trying to reach decision makers at specific types of companies, and once you reach those, you know that's a sales-ready lead. As you can see in these examples, there's always a little bit of fit in regards to that lead, as well as their level of interest. So think about, what does it take for someone to be a great fit for your product or service? And what could they do to show their high level of interest? Bring those two together and you have your definition of a sales-ready lead. Now, once you have your definition of a sales-ready lead, it's time to define the handoff process from marketing over to sales. Now, keep in mind that the funnel is not necessarily linear. Someone can move through the sales and marketing process, be handed off from marketing to sales, but maybe they go cold. Maybe they don't become a customer right away. And that's a great opportunity to move back from sales over to marketing for additional nurturing. But the key here is to understand who are the leads that are owned by marketing for nurturing and who are the leads that are owned by sales to take it to that finish line. You want those teams to be on the same page so they understand who they're each communicating with. The next piece you want to define is your buyer persona. And this can be great for informing marketing's efforts in terms of their content, how they want to nurture, how they're going to attract the right people and get them to be sales ready. And it's also great for sales to tailor their follow-up, to better understand what are the key points that we can sell into to make that customer successful and to bring them on. So let's recap all of the things that you need to define in order to speak the same language. First off, the stages of the sales and marketing funnel and how they relate to the buyer's journey. Next, the definition of a sales-ready lead, when you're going to pass that marketing lead over to sales. And then, of course, that handoff process. Who's going to be owned by marketing and sales? What does it mean for someone to move back and forth? And then finally, your buyer personas. Who are these target customers that you want to reach, nurture, and sign up as customers? Now that we're speaking the same language, it's time to set up closed-loop reporting. Here are a few questions you can ask yourself in order to figure out if you need closed-loop reporting. First off, do you send leads to sales and never hear if they were good? Do you end up creating and trying to manage duplicate leads? Do you send leads to sales with the basic contact information without intelligence about what content those leads consumed? Or are you unsure of the impact your marketing efforts are having on revenue? Now, if you answered yes to any of these questions, you very likely need to set up closed-loop reporting. Closed-loop reporting is great for completing that feedback loop between marketing and sales. There are a lot of benefits to both the marketing team as well as the sales team. At its core, closed-loop reporting allows you to pass more lead intelligence and data over to the sales team and get more feedback from sales over to marketing about which efforts are translating into customers. So some of the benefits from marketing, including getting up-to-date contact information and status updates so that you can increase lead quality. You get to learn which marketing programs are working and which ones aren't. And then overall, you get to increase your marketing return on investment. On the sales side, there are all sorts of benefits, including deduplicating leads, helping the sales team prioritize leads or knowing which leads to prioritize, definitely help your sales team make warmer calls, and then finally, increase the close rate and overall sales return on investment. So basically, all sorts of win. All teams are incredibly happy. Now here are some of the things that you can do with closed loop reporting. First off, you can analyze which customers you're getting by marketing source. So you can measure how each marketing effort is performing through the funnel and over time. You can look at the visits, leads, and customers. You can look at how each source is performing through those funnels, and you can even compare those conversion rates by source. Finally, you can look at changes over time. You can see specific channels growing, like email marketing or organic search, to understand how your efforts are improving. You also want to look at conversion assists, looking at the different types of content that you're creating and how that contributes to customers closing. What this allows you to do is find the right content to surface. Find the right content to use as calls to action, use in your nurturing, so that you can turn more of your leads into customers. You can also get all sorts of closed-loop lead intelligence. You can follow the interactions of a particular contact, including all of the content that they download, the pages that they view, the emails that they engage with, and just generally get all sorts of contact updates in a linear view. Of course, that's a lot of different information for the sales team to look at, so closed-loop CRM integration can share the interaction highlights with your sales team. This allows them to get just the best parts of the lead intelligence that they can use on their sales calls to make warmer calls and better connect with their sales leads. This also helps the marketing team get data back on all sorts of customer numbers so you can understand which are the leads and which are the programs that are best turning into customers. And then finally, another sales rep favorite is the closed loop lead alerts. You can send all sorts of automatic updates to your sales team based on when leads revisit your website or do other key actions. So we do things like alerts for visiting our pricing page, visiting certain case studies or product pages, even viewing certain videos on our website. These are all key interactions that we've identified as highly qualified actions that we want our sales team to know about. This allows them to follow up with just the right people at the exact right time. Now that we've set up our reporting, it's time to implement a service level agreement. A service level agreement, or an SLA, defines what each team commits to accomplishing in order to support the other. An SLA is great because it crystallizes that alignment around goals. Whether you're a one-person team that owns both sales and marketing or a 10,000-person company, the SLA formalizes the goals of each team to make sure the company is set up to reach its revenue goal. Remember that SLAs go both ways. It's all about a commitment from marketing to sales in terms of the number and quality of leads, and it's all about what sales commits to marketing in terms of the speed and depth of lead follow-up. So let's look at that in depth. First off, the marketing SLA to sales. This is all about how many leads of a certain quality does a sales rep need in order to make quota. You also want to factor in how much time does a sales rep have in order to best follow up with these leads, looking at the number of customers that they need, the number of leads that they need, and also the different quality of the types of leads that you're sending them. All of these things together can factor into what marketing commits to sales. In terms of the sales SLA to marketing, it's all about how many call and email attempts a sales rep should make in order to not waste those hard-earned marketing leads. You want to take into account the number of leads that a rep gets, as well as how much time they have. With that, you can figure out how many follow attempts should they make in order to make the most of these leads. Now let's look at a couple of examples. A typical marketing SLA may be marketing will deliver 100 leads per sales rep per month. A sales SLA may be making one attempt to engage a lead within 4 business hours, with 5 attempts total in 14 days. Now keep in mind that you can create your SLA today and change it over time. Perhaps the company goals have changed, or you've identified a new high-quality source of leads. These are great opportunities to redefine what that SLA should be because you've gotten more information and more data to help you figure out how to hit those revenue goals. Again, it all comes back to those revenue goals. Once you have your SLA defined, you want to track your progress daily. You can do this through reports and dashboards that you send to the sales and marketing teams, all in an effort to keep that communication open so that you can jump on issues and know how you're doing throughout a given month or quarter. Now that you have your service level agreement, it's time to set up that open communication between sales and marketing. You can do this in a few ways. You don't have to do all of these communication methods, but here are a couple of ideas. First off, a weekly Smarketing meeting. This is your opportunity to get the entire sales and marketing teams on the same page. The idea is to get your entire teams in a room on a weekly basis to talk about things like team successes. You can even highlight certain Smarketing wins. You can share product information, updates to the products or services that you're selling. You can share persona education from both sales and marketing to each other. And then finally, you want to provide updates on those SLA waterfalls now that you have them defined. Now, as your organization gets larger, it may be tough to have a lot of discussion in your weekly Smarketing meeting. So you may want to have a monthly management meeting where you have key managers from both the sales and marketing teams together to discuss topics in depth. This is also a great opportunity to resolve issues, to have discussions about new opportunities, and to discuss how those teams can be most successful. Keep in mind that you want to use data as much as possible to drive the discussion between these two teams, as well as resolve any issues. In addition to meetings, you can use emails to communicate important information across the teams. For example, campaign communication. This is your opportunity to market your campaigns to the sales team. You want to treat your sales team almost like an audience for your marketing, a team that you need to market to. And in order to do that effectively, you need to understand their persona. You need to know that they are under a lot of time pressure. And the main question that they're asking themselves is, how does this help me today? So you want to give them the right content. You don't want to overwhelm them with too much. You want to give them something easy to skim. So use things like bullet points and links and bold. And you also want to provide them with good sound bites. They're going to be following up with the leads that are engaging in these campaigns, and you want them to be armed with the right information to follow up with them effectively. The other type of email communication that's really valuable is product communication. These are updates about products and services that the sales team needs to know. So you want to provide them with those details, as well as understanding of why customers will even care about these updates. The other cool thing about the email communication side of things between sales and marketing is that if you use an email marketing software tool, you can track the open and clicks on these emails so you can understand, are my email communications even an effective way to communicate with our teams? Now keep in mind that communication is not just meetings. In fact, we are big proponents of having the sales and marketing teams sit together to have fantastic, open, constant communication. You might even say that a team that sits together wins together. But in reality, sitting together is a great way to get constant feedback from your sales reps. You get to hear them on the phone, you get to ask each other questions throughout the day, and just maintain that constant communication outside of specific meetings. And communication is not just bullet points. You can send lists and lists of information about products or personas, but at a certain point, people start to zone out on that information. So what you can do is tell stories. Tell stories of sales rep success, of marketing team successes, or customer successes. Those are so incredibly powerful and really stick in people's minds. So it's a great opportunity to get your point across in a different format. Now that we are communicating in a constant and open way, it's time to dive into the data. A key part of the Smarketing relationship is relying on data. A great tool you can use are marketing and sales dashboards that include all of the common reports that are aligned around those revenue goals. Dashboards are great because they provide frequent updates, they are public and transparent across the company, and allow people to jump on any sort of information and data quickly. So what you want to do is create a shared dashboard, make that dashboard accessible across the teams, look at both short-term and long-term metrics, and then look at these dashboards daily. Dashboards allow you to communicate your progress in a quick and transparent way. This adds a level of accountability to your team and lets you jump on problems as they arise instead of after the month or quarter is over. There are a few different types of dashboards that you can create, and here are a couple of ideas. First off, some marketing dashboards. Start off with that SLA, those things that you've committed to from the marketing team to the sales team. You want to communicate that progress towards your primary goals on a daily and monthly and quarterly basis. You can also dive into some of the other key metrics for the marketing team. Perhaps the volume of visits, leads, customers against a monthly goal, as well as previous months, so that you can understand how you're doing and you can quickly adjust. You can track your leads by source. You might even want to set specific goals for each of your marketing sources so that you can measure your progress for your email marketing leads or your organic search leads and make sure that you're set up to achieve your overall goals. You can do this on a micro level as well for each individual campaign. You can analyze those results to understand which efforts are successfully driving traffic, leads, and customers for an individual campaign that you're running. Or perhaps you want to use another metric like the volume of MQLs. This is an opportunity to measure both the volume as well as which types of marketing qualified leads you're generating for the sales team. In addition to the daily reports and dashboards, we also do a monthly marketing report. This allows us to do a deeper dive into all of our marketing metrics so we can better evaluate why we did or did not hit our targets. We end up posting this on our internal wiki and share it with our executive team. This adds a whole level of transparency and accountability and encourages our marketing team to think a little bit more like executives, to think about us as a department that we need to run effectively. But we have these goals and we need to understand why we are or why we aren't hitting those goals. In addition to the marketing dashboards, you can also create a whole set of sales dashboards. Our favorite one is the Sales by Day dashboard, which allows you to measure the progress towards your sales goal, as well as compare the sales metrics against previous months. It's really important to look at both the goal as well as previous performance because it's very likely that the end of a month or the end of a quarter is going to have a pretty big spike in sales. In addition to actual revenue, you can also look at sales activity reports. Analytics in terms of how many leads are worked, how many attempts are made on a given lead, to understand by day, by week, by month, by quarter, overall as a team or by individual sales rep, how are sales following up with our leads. Then the question becomes, what do you do when things go wrong? When you're behind on that goal, when you haven't hit it at the end of the month or the quarter, what do you do? You guessed it, rely on data. You don't want to rely on your emotions because you want to separate the reality from perception. One of the great things about data is that you can't argue with it. They are numbers, they are reports that you've run. And we've seen a couple of different cases where the actual data did not match up with the perception. So we've done a couple of different reports on lead quality, and we've also done surveys of sales reps based on lead quality. And what's interesting is the survey results are very largely based on attitudes, of perceptions, of morale. So if the sales team doesn't hit their goal that month, you're not going to get some good scores. But if they do hit that goal, they're going to be very happy. But aside from perception, you want to know what's really happening so that you can adjust and make sure that you're set up to be successful going forward. So I want you to think about, what did you do the last time something went wrong? The last time you didn't hit a goal? The last time that you were really trying to achieve something and you just didn't make it happen? How did you react? And how did you resolve that issue? You want to remember to use data and remember that the sales and marketing teams, you're in the same boat. And you want to use data as a tool to figure out what's wrong and how to fix it together. Now let's recap with a couple of key takeaways and resources. First off, Smarketing is all about alignment between sales and marketing around both goals and personas. In order to make the sales and marketing alignment work, you need these 5 steps to integrate it into your organization. 1, speak the same language. 2, set up closed-loop reporting. 3, implement a service level agreement. 4, maintain open communication on a constant basis. And 5, rely on data. Finally, I'll leave you with these resources, a few different articles, ebooks, templates that you can use to dive into a few of the different topics that we've talked about today. First off, how to calculate an SLA, an article that walks through the process of how to do it for your organization. An article on sales and marketing metrics, all the different things that you can think of in order to better measure your teams. A full ebook on the introduction to closed-loop reporting if you'd like to dive into that deeper. A template on how to calculate your sales and marketing SLA goals. And finally, a template to plan your overall annual goals for your company. Remember, you can always connect with other people taking part in the certification by using the inbound hashtag on Twitter. And you can reach out to me at EllieEllie. Thanks for taking the time to learn about the power of Smarketing. Tune into the next class to learn about inbound sales.